Now we're going to go on to our second video. Running an institution like the Tech Museum isn't cheap, and the Tech relies heavily on donations. And I was curious about how that really worked, so I spoke to Kama Fletcher, who is the Director of Individual Giving at the Tech. Let's go ahead and roll that tape. When you try to get people to contribute money, and we're not pitching for money here, but what are the points that you consider most important that would make people most interested in contributing?
Well, I think that's a great question, and I think that it depends on the individual that you're dealing with, what your answer is. I think there are some individuals that support the Tech Museum that are really doing it because they believe that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is one of, the whole STEM aspect of education is one of the most unfortunate losers, if you will, in the education budget issue we're having, especially here in California, and that out of the classroom, second classroom opportunities like the Tech Museum's labs and the Tech Museum's free field trips are picking up the slack in that category. So a lot of folks that donate to the Tech Museum and that support us do it around education, motivated initiatives. So.
Does most of your funding come from a few big donors, or are you looking for individuals to contribute $100, $200?
That's a great question, actually. And as a relatively new staff member, I've been with the Tech Museum for about 6 months. I've actually recently done a lot of research on what is what I call the pyramid of giving look like here at the Tech Museum. And at this point, and for some time now, we've had some pretty significant major donors that make all the difference in the world in terms of our budget. What I want to see happen is I want to see a whole new level of membership and donors joining the Tech. The levels you're talking about, anywhere from $100 to $2,500 to $5,000. Those are the folks I feel like A, there are plenty of them out there, and B, if they're not giving, it's because we haven't had an opportunity to reach them yet. And one of the goals that I have around expanding that base is to really reach out to the new entrepreneurs, this new generation of people that are the innovators of 2011, that are the innovators for the next 10 years. This institution was really was founded and dreamt of by the innovators of the late 80s and early 90s. And
when the Tech was founded, companies like Intel and HP
That's right.
were the leading companies.
That's right.
Now it's Google and Facebook.
Right.
So are you able to get them on board?
Yeah, in fact, we just, in a renovation of our Silicon Valley Innovation Gallery, we just partnered with Google, and if you visit that gallery, you'll see an exhibit called You Are Everywhere, which it highlights Google Earth. And you're surrounded by screens in there that allow you to almost feel like you're flying. You put in an address or a place in the world and it takes you there. And I have actually gotten nauseous. It's so realistic. But I mean, absolutely. So, Facebook, Zynga, VMware, these are all companies that are part of this next generation of technology. And, we certainly want the concepts behind what they're doing reflected in the museum. But beyond that, we want the individuals behind the innovation and the entrepreneurship to feel a connection to this institution. So.
And if you give a certain amount, I imagine you get a little plaque on the wall. There's a section of plaques.
That's right. We have our Hands of Innovation wall is for our biggest donors, and those donors come in and actually we take their handprints in a wafer of silicon, and those plaques go on the wall with their names, and then all of our donors at the $1,000 and above level have their names on the wall. That is just right next to the one with the Hands of Innovations. Yeah.
Do you have any benchmarks for measuring whether you're being successful or not, aside from keeping the doors open?
When it comes to fundraising, you mean?
If the museum is fulfilling its purpose of playing an important social role, encouraging education, how do you know if that's working?
It's another very, very good question, and certainly a question that you might imagine funders ask me all the time, right? Where are your measurable objectives? You say you want to inspire the innovator in everyone, how do you know that? So there are a few things that give us indication of how close we are in that. And one is that we do survey our visitors and our guests, and we do ask them questions about, when it comes to X subject, do you feel like you walked away from here knowing more? Are you more comfortable with that topic? Do you think you'll pay more attention in school to that topic because of what you learned is, so important behind the learning in this, in science or in math? The other thing is that after, a lot of times with our free field trips, after a visit here, the students and the teacher will write to us. And we collect all of those letters and specifically what they say about what meant a lot to them or why this trip inspired them to do something differently. And it's often the teachers' letters that get me that are very inspiring, and they appreciate having this outside tool, to supplement what they can't do in the classroom.
That was my interview with Kama Fletcher, who is the Director of Individual Giving at the Tech Museum. Now, Bridget, we've been sitting here with these plastic objects on the table throughout the show. What exactly are they and who put them together?
Well, these are some of the latest design challenges that the kids put together today, actually on the floor of our museum. It's our latest floor program called Got Bots, and you'll have to picture R2-D2 over here. We have an amazing robot from NASA. We have almost any robot you can remember from history in our robot archive. And then we give the kids a chance to design and build their own robots. So we give them all of these different parts. They get to tinker around, figure out how the motors work, how their wheels and axles are going to go, learn some fun science along the way, how the torque works, and then they get to put everything together into whatever they want to dream up, really. And we have some designs here, some designs in process, some with multiple heads, and they really all move in their own unique ways.
They all look like dinosaurs. Is that intentional? Or?
That's a theme of this particular robot building system. And the kids love it because the jaws open up. So that's a very fun way to see some motors in action. So
what are your really long-term goals at the Tech? What are you really trying to accomplish long-term? Do you have some vision which is ultimately driving you?
Yes, so through something as simple as this short design challenge, the kids come in, engage in just a matter of minutes they might spend on this, to our school year labs where they engage for 90 minutes in this guided design challenge, to our summer camp programs where they're there for a week long working on these huge projects, to even the Tech Challenge where they're working for months. They really through this process get a chance to see the power of how design thinking can help them turn their ideas into reality, and they see themselves as problem solvers in this world. So these are the kids that grow up and don't just look at the world happening to them, but they look at how they can go and create and design a world that they are going to be happy to live in.
Do you look to identify kids who might be particularly good at innovating? What are the characteristics you look for to determine if a child really has what it takes to become a serious contributor?
It's a really interesting question because it turns out, Marty, that we are all serious contributors in the innovation game. And it's a common myth to see, here is this scientific mathematical genius, how did they ever come up with that idea? Or that engineer, they must have just dreamed that up one day in their sleep and then they went out and built it. But the truth is that those people that are engaging in the creative and innovative endeavors, they go through a design process that any of us can go through. They also, when they pick up all these parts, have no idea what their solution is going to look like, but they have that creative confidence to take a step before they know exactly where it's going to lead, to tinker, to have some things fall apart, and to, at that moment, not get frustrated where they want to abandon the whole project, but really identify that they have perspective in that moment they didn't have when they started. And that's where they collaborate, that's where they brainstorm, that's where they're open to other people's ideas, and that's where the innovation happens. It's a really collaborative process, and we all can be a part of it.
Great, sounds great. I'd love to ask you more questions, but we're just about out of time, so we're going to have to wrap the show. I've been speaking with Bridget Rigby, Director of Learning at the Tech. I also spoke on location to Elena Connor and Kama Fletcher. Thanks to all of them. And thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time. Visit our website, www.futuretalk.net. See you next time.